Paintings are full of unsolved mysteries. To understand the mystery of each picture, you have to get acquainted with the life and thoughts of its creator. Let these paintings come to life. Watch our new TV program at the gallery.
It seems to us that it is easy to break away from reality. We just plunge into our own imagination and imagine a different world. But not everything is so simple. To create your own reality, which has a deep meaning and content, one needs to have a refined talent. This is characteristic for the artist Vyacheslav Lui-Ko. Today, we will look at his amazing worlds with an example of the painting The Big Move. Historical reference: painting The Big Move. Author Vyacheslav Lui-Ko. 2015. Canvas size 150 by 200 centimeters. Canvas oil. If we look at different works and we see that these worlds come from a different planet, this planet is going to be called the artistic talent. Lui-Ko communicates with our sensory through symbols. He's not going to reflect it in all its ugliness, but he composes it himself. His time and his world, and he feels very good in this world. This is an illustration to the things I could write in words, but alas, God didn't give me this gift, so I'm doing the illustrations for the unwritten. Biographical reference: Vyacheslav Lui-Ko, born in Murmansk, 1963. In 1985, he graduated from the Graphic Arts Department of Kazakh Pedagogical Institute in Almaty. Since 1987, he is a permanent member of the national and international exhibitions, as well as his personal ones. Works of Lui-Ko can be found in private collections in Kazakhstan, Russia, Germany, the USA, Canada, Turkey, and other countries. In general, everything that is connected with my memories of childhood, adolescence, for some reason it's somewhat fogged. I remember a thing that stayed with me for life. I was transported somewhere on a huge boat, and there were other people with us, and it was cloudy, cold water around. And the one who pushed the boat from the shore, he was wearing a hat. And suddenly the wind blew and blew his hat off his head. And it fell into the water and swam swaying. And he tried to hook that hat, but it was impossible. And it still keeps floating in my mind. The future artist was only 2 years old back then. Addiction of Lui-Ko to a fantastic fish, boat, ship and marine base started exactly then. In his childhood, he visited another sea, the Black Sea. On its shores, the artist lived with his grandmother, carefree for 5 years. There were juniper trees, and those trees are very strange. And once a boat stuck on one of those trees. Imagine a tree and a boat on the tree. And how it got there was unclear. And so this picture emerged in my mind after 2 years, and I just remember it. And it suddenly revealed some wonderful idea. And so this boat appears in conjunction with this tree, and these shells that were scattered in large quantities under these trees, houses assembled from the remnants of ships. It does actually exist. The story of the painting itself is very amazing. On the foreground, we see a normal, regular market day. And while in the background, we see almost a surreal composition, with a crowd made up of absolutely different people, animals, machinery, and everyone pulled the wagon with a huge house, something you won't see every day.
I think that all the works of Vyacheslav Lui-Ko is an escape from reality, but it is not escapism. On the contrary, the desire to understand this reality and perhaps overcome it. And this what is very interesting, that he seems to be not afraid to embark on this journey into his own spirit. And no one knows what this spirit holds. Vyacheslav Lui-Ko is the artist with the grace of God. Only innate talent can be explained by the fabulous ease with which he, having no drawing experience, in addition to the school newspaper, joined the graphic arts department of Kazakh Pedagogical Institute. We have programs in our mind that we follow involuntarily. Well, yes, he did not visit the studios, and his parents were not artists, but he was not brought up in a family where there were books, paintings, where people come to fellow artists. No, it wasn't like that. On painting exam, my future classmate helped me a lot. She came up and began to laugh. Look at what I did. There were a picture and an apple, and I saw that those picture, an apple, the picture was brown and the apple was red. And so I took the red and brown paint and I gently began to paint. And she came over and said, artists don't do that. She took the brush and made 2 or 3 smears. And I said, why do you spoil my unique image? It was so neat. But it turns out she helped me. He came to study at 1 or 2 installation lectures. It wasn't a full course, because people come back after some classes already prepared. But for him, it was something he seized and entered. And what was there in the picture, I do not remember. But somehow I overcame it. I got B's out of pity. But all my other exams I passed very well. Surprisingly, the artist combines on his canvas elements of the old and the new era. At the same time, we see a crowd of human figures, oxen pulling a cart, and at the same time, in the same crowd, there are car and tractors. That is, the artist creates a kind of eclecticism that combines all these images into one vivid image. This is an artist who has an attitude. This is most important. From my perspective, this is a good storyteller, even, I would say, Mr. Writer. He's working on his paintings beautifully somewhat differently than all the other artists, because he writes them, and the images are born in his head. They can be spontaneous. At first, maybe you have an idea, but then spontaneously, a fantasy already owns them. He's not the one who commands his imagination, instead it leads him. That is, he sees not only with his eyes, but also with his heart. Through the eyes of the world, he accepts the world, and through the heart, from this perspective, he returns it to us through these images. Lui-Ko does not recognize the space-time framework. He combines the era, the days, and the events. Therefore, in his works you can see inconsistent things. Nights, helicopters, submarines, and all of them exist in the space of the painting at the same time. Artists are mostly intuitionalists. Not necessarily they read a lot or know a lot. Sometimes they are very naive and unprofessional. That is, they're working on an intuitive level. And taking into account all that I said, they may be very good artists. But Vyacheslav, he's very smart, very versatile, very competent, and he invests this in the system of images, signs that he often combines in his paintings, the past and the present. But that's just the irony that the semantics of its characters, it is completely independent, and it is not tied to any myth, because Vyacheslav Lui-Ko, he is himself a myth. In general, the work is done in a very cold color, but the basic elements, wagon, a building on this wagon, figures of people, animals, and the group in the foreground, all are made in warmer tones to bring the viewer's eyes to their item. In each picture, he combines small parts of this world and the big, strange, bizarre and familiar parts, and all the familiar things become bizarre and unfamiliar.
I'm not interested in just the texture, color, or just paints. I'm interested in these issues. They can be called philosophical, but they can be called whatever you like. But it seems to me that these questions are vital.
Although it seems that it is deployed from the present, it does not deal with the present. But in fact, everything he writes, it's about our world. It is simply expressed metaphorically, therefore it is interesting.
The artist deliberately chose this time of year because he uses a certain kind of rhythm. Alternating light and dark spots, it leads the viewer's eye in depth, creating a surprisingly sophisticated space filled with small elements and details. Ship in the art is a symbol of the search, wandering, being a symbol of striving to go beyond the known and familiar world. It is also a symbol of refugee in turbulent waters, like an island or a Noah's Ark. In the Christian symbolism, the church itself resembled a ship. In the collective unconscious, the ship is a symbol of escape from the hustle, the desire to resist the chaos of the subconscious, the return to the origins, the quest for the secret. Signs, symbols, allegories, metaphors. It's what unites Vyacheslav Lui-Ko with the Northern Renaissance artists, especially the Dutch and the Germans of the 15th and the 16th centuries. But the most striking parallels are with the work of Peter Bruegel Sr. The same themes and the same philosophical implications. It seems that the soul of the great Dutchman reincarnated, embodied in our contemporary. Historical reference. Peter Bruegel Sr., Dutch painter, graphic artist. Born presumably between 1525 and 1530 years. The exact date, unfortunately, is unknown, and died in 1569. Master of landscape and genre scenes. Bruegel is his favorite artist. Both these artists portray winter trees with these transparent branches without leaves. Here he has the same theme. Hunters in the snow. For Vicarus, we don't really see him, he's out there, but just as water gurgled, and he fell, and we're engaged in the foreground. For me, his works are connected, of course, to first and foremost Bruegel, because their aesthetics, they are very similar. His approach to the space, to the organization of space, its top view, its human scale with respect to the world, the little man and the big world. This is all, of course, from Bruegel, and even from Boss. I feel close not only to Bruegel. There is a huge lift of artists. I've always believed that what I'm doing is just a method of knowing the world. The method of understanding the world of the great artists of the past. And it is closer to me than the method of knowing the world of contemporary artists. Of course, the artist is familiar with not only European paintings, but also with the principles of European compositions. The artist constructs the major part of the picture, the house on the wagon, on the golden section.
And each artist has such great predecessors with who they try to keep the inner connection. So remember our Sergei Kalmykov, who always says, I'm in the studio of Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci and I. And this historical choice is also important. And if Vyacheslav Lui-Ko also openly borrows even the title, it is also his position, his discourse. It is not accidental. Because Lui-Ko does not hide his relationship from us, but rather manifests spiritual kinship, relationship to art, to painting, to the attitude of a person.
I also quote, why not quote something that conveys a deep sense of this life? No wonder many artists, that referring to the cinema, they use the image of artists putting them in their own films. And I'm not saying that they illustrate their films with specific paintings, but these are infinite signs and symbols.
Today we live in an era that we call postmodernism, and people call it differently. This is the time when all the words were spoken. Therefore, no matter with what artists come up with, sooner or later one will find that it already existed before. And so in this era, when all the words are spoken, the artist has nothing left but to quote and make the works of the images invented by others. And this citationality and irony, these are the main qualities of postmodernism. And Vyacheslav Lui-Ko, he fits this outline of postmodernism perfectly.
In the painting The Big Move, we also can feel connection with Bruegel. It is difficult to call this work as an everyday sketch. Rather, it is an allegory of worldly aspirations of man. The area on which the carriage moves, resembling a ship, it is a huge marketplace. This is what has become of our world. It is teeming with bustling small figurines. And only in its eternal immutability, the sky, the mountains, the sea-bathed with ships, they all oppose this noisy, bustling reality of the human community.
Vyacheslav Lui-Ko, like any artist from the school of the old masters, always speaks of the eternal, of the importance and the global. Although he's hiding it behind his ephemeral, not serious notions, but in fact, he talks about what it means to be a human being, and what is the meaning of life, and how difficult the human life path and how unpredictable it is.
Using graphics, the artist creates his own experiences, filled with deep meaning and content. His work should be seen close, in order to appreciate the subtlety of the work and to see the small details and symbols. This richness of fine detail creates the delicate painting style of the famous artist Vyacheslav Lui-Ko. Ship in the paintings of Lui-Ko embodies the human soul, or the whole person. Needless to say that being on the ship is compared to the situation between life and death. Awareness of the inevitability of death is important for a person in order to think, to create, to love and to suffer. This motivates a human being to do a lot of things and to not waste his life. For me, there is a clear, specific question for every human being, to get rid of the fear of being. That is, here I am, about 50 years old, and I have come to the end of this life. I need to realize for myself, I need to conclude that it was not all pointless, and I have something to take with me, my baggage. What do we carry? The experience gained by our ancestors? Our own luggage, which will serve the future generations? Or ballast of an untapped knowledge, the luggage of bitter memories and remorse? What does our boat of our destiny carry, making a great move by the river of life? Some believe that they will take their wealth, their sins or weakness. Someone thinks that it is necessary to get rid of everything and do not take anything with them. And here I am, trying to research this question in my paintings. What are we going to take with us, if it is possible?
Perhaps the purpose of art is not to find answers, but to ask the right questions. Or perhaps the goal of the creator is to plow, loosen the human soul, to make it able to turn to good. So the next flight along the river of life was not in vain. A well-known Kazakh artist, Vyacheslav Lui-Ko, communicates to us such deep and important things.